same thickness as paper, that's what you're going for. That's almost matters more than having them be really narrow. So this is just, I thought I'd do a quick series on how to make fires with a Faro rod. Faro rods are pretty awesome. They're pretty easy to learn to use and get good at. And it doesn't matter if they get wet, like it's a piece of metal, right? It's basically impervious to the elements unless you leave it in the fire, then it'll, you know what I mean, that's not good for it. But other than that, it's pretty much impervious to the elements. Cold, works great in the cold. And if you get a big one like this, they last forever, like really, really, really long time. And if you get good at it and you can get most of your fires going within, you know, 2-3 strikes, then they're going to last like a seriously long time. So it's an awesome survival item. It's a really fun bushcraft item. If you enjoy being outdoors and doing that sort of thing, this is really fun. Lots and lots of fun. So there's a lot of ways to make a fire with a Faro rod. Primarily what most people are going to do is they're going to find natural tinders in the forest and use that. And there's lots of really good videos on the internet on that. That might be the next part of the series, is how to do that. But I think I'm not an expert on this, so I could be wrong, but in my opinion, the best way to learn how to use a Faro rod is feather sticks, because you're basically training yourself for the worst possible case scenario right off the bat. And feather stick making takes more time than if you have dry natural material, but you can do it in wet conditions, because what you're doing is you're batoning, or somehow you're splitting a piece of wood open like I just did, to get to the inside where it's still dry. You know what I mean? The water hasn't soaked its way in there yet. And then you're going to use that to start a fire. So you can use a hatchet. I have a survival knife, a little bushcraft knives work, tomahawks. You need some sort of a tool, but you can do it with basically any tool. And it doesn't have to be a great big stick. It could be like something really small. You know, if you only have a little knife, like work in proportion to the size of your knife. Don't abuse your knife, because that's the last thing you want to do. But yeah, like for this knife, this size, and even a little bit bigger, no problem, no threat to the knife. But yeah, you want to stay in proportion to your knife. But yeah, so basically you got this thing apart, and you're gonna get at the dry wood on the inside here. And how the Faro rod works is you are going to take a sharp piece of metal. So I have a really sharp spine on the back of this knife, and that's kind of something I look for in a lot of knives. If not, you can buy little strikers for this. The back of saws, like on multi-tools, are usually super sharp. There's all kinds of things you can use that make good strikers. I like, if you don't have a knife with a sharp spine on it, you can just put one on with a file and a sharpening, you know, a diamond stone or a whetstone or something if you want to do that. Or you can buy little strikers. They're super cheap on Amazon and eBay and stuff, and they work awesome. So, but how it works is you shave a piece of this metal off, and the friction of it coming off, mixing with the oxygen or in the air around it, basically make that thing like super, super hot. And I forget the exact degree, but I think it can be like 2,000 to 5,000 degrees. Like that makes a little piece like really hot. And if you have fine enough tinder, just the heat from the Faro rod will ignite that tinder. If you make it fine enough. So the trick to feather sticks is you need it to be like fine, like almost like paper thin. The caveat to that is if you make them too thin, once you ignite it, it ignites super easy, but it they go out pretty quick. So I'm gonna get back into that later. I'm just gonna start doing this and kind of show what it does, because I don't want to put too much information out all at once. But when I get to that point where I'm gonna do as fine as I can, and then I'm gonna get to a point where I might start making them thicker or mixing thick ones with super thin ones, and I'll bring that up again. But what you're gonna do is, so I've got my wood, it's split open, and I've got ridges on here. What I like to do is find one of those ridges and find, you wanna find you gotta find the right angle of your knife where you're not gonna dig right into wood and you're not just gonna glance over it. You wanna find that nice edge, and then you're going to just slide down till you get a nice little curl like that, and you're just gonna keep doing it. And sometimes, if they're just falling off the wood right away, I'll start with a couple fat ones and kind of dig in a little bit to get some nice fat ones, just so I have something there to kind of stop them from falling right off the feather stick. And then I go into like looking for smaller ones if I can. Okay, so I've got a bunch in there. Some of them are a little bit bigger than I was kind of hoping for. This is a little bit of a curved piece of wood, but they're paper thin. They're the same thickness as paper. That's what you're going for. That's almost matters more than having them be really narrow, is you want like them to be paper thin. I'm gonna start putting some thicker ones on there and mixing it up with ones that are the same size as this to try and make it so that when I ignite it, it doesn't just burn really fast. It lasts just a little bit longer, because we're gonna use these to catch our kindling on fire down the road. And then, so I used up all the wood I could. These back ones here, so I'm talking about bigger. I'm not really necessarily talking about wider. These back ones here are thicker. So I'm gonna try and aim for this with the Faro rod, and then when it ignites, I'm gonna try and hold it up so that these catch fire, and hopefully if we get a couple of those, it'll be no problem. Hey guys, so I found a piece of spruce, and it's longer, and I'm gonna try and make some feather sticks off of this. There, that's a little bit better there. And what I find works really well is every time I make a pass, I'm going down a ridge. And then that makes that ridge disappear, but it usually leaves another one. So then I'll go and I'll line myself up with that ridge that I just made. And then I'll try and follow it down and make a curl like that. And then make another curl. And make another curl. And make another, and like every time I'm making a ridge, I'm trying to follow it down. There, that was a nice one there. Those are a couple decent ones right there. But that's what works for me. And these are all right feathers here. Well, then it's nice if you can make them somewhere where when you're done, you can kind of go by after and pick up all the shavings that that fell off of your feathers, because they're awesome, right? And then we're gonna try this out. Got the Faro Rod and my knife, and oh. So I've got one that I've left to the side so that if I get it like that ignites like that again, I'll grab this one and I'll like this, catch this one on fire, and then so that it doesn't go out like that again. I kind of thought that one was gonna go, so I didn't bother. When I get this, I'm trying to hold it so that the flames really get all over it there, and then I'll move you over here. It looks like it's going. Put my super fine tinder kindling on top of it. Sorry, not tinder, kindling. My super fine kindling. And then, sorry, I'm moving you around a lot, I know, but and then I'd like to have a bunch of stuff kind of around this size here, like finger width. I don't have too much of it, but I'm gonna put that on now. And then I'm gonna put my stuff that's a little bit thicker, like you know, twice the size of a finger or whatever, crosswise against my finger width stuff. my dog's hungry because he hasn't eaten yet, and it's like probably 8 o'clock at night, and he's foraging through the blackberry bushes trying to find blackberries, but they're pretty much all gone. It's September or whatever. It's like halfway through September, but I'm pretty sure that I might have, I have some sardines. So I'm gonna give him a can of sardines.